Hello guys, I'm going to talk about walleye fishing in the state of Virginia, and I'm going to also talk about where to catch them and when you can catch them, and what walleye fisheries or what fisheries in Virginia produce the most walleyes. As you're aware, got a few rivers in Virginia, and they run into these reservoirs and these lakes. So a fishery, for example, the New River fishery, not only is New River, but it's also like Crater Lake is part of the New River fishery. And there's some other rivers in the state of Virginia, like the Holston River, that's got some lakes and reservoirs associated with it also. So we're going to be talking about those. So we're going to talk about where to catch the big walleyes in Virginia and what fisheries in Virginia produce the most walleyes. So having said that, I'm going to go on over to the next video. These are the state record walleye that were caught in New River, and the old record was like in 1973, August 20th, 1973. A guy by the name of Roy Barrett caught a 22-pound, 8-ounce walleye in New River. It seems that the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries kind of was a little skeptical about that record, so they decided to go ahead and allow a new record, and the current day record is 15 pounds 15 ounces that was caught in the year 2000 by Anthony Duncan, and I've got a picture of that catch. I'll show that next. Now there's a recently I've got a picture also. There was a 20-pound walleye caught up in the state of Washington, and the world record walleye is 25 pounds. Now that record is kind of old, but these big walleye are still out there, and it's possible. I believe that in New River, which has some real deep holes, it's possible that there's some 20-pound plus walleyes in New River, maybe up to 25 pounds. But I'm really not sure. This is a modern day record, and that once again was caught in the year 2000. Let me get back over to my pictures again. Again, that was a record that was caught in the year 2000. And here's some photos of some big walleye. Now what I did was I took all the data that was on the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries website about citation size fish, walleye in particular, for this video, and I took and downloaded that into a spreadsheet where I could sort it on the different columns, and I could sort it on the fishery, or I could sort it on the size of the fish, or the length of the fish, or the date, and I could do various types of sort on the data. And I was able to make some conclusions regarding the data, and that's what I'm presenting during this little video here. So let me head on over to the next slide. This has to do with the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries trophy size fish chart. Basically what they're saying here, that if you take a look at the top line there, if you catch a largemouth bass, that weighs 8 pounds or is 22 inches long, that you can get that weighed and get somebody to sign a little certification. And you can send that in to Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, and then they will send you a little citation. A fish citation says that you caught a largemouth bass of a certain size and a certain length and the date that you caught it. So they do that for all the fish species in the state of Virginia, and that helps them determine what fisheries are producing what fish, and trophy size fish and other data. So they're able to use that information. The fish biologists are able to use that information and learn certain things from the data. So it not only is good to recognize the fishermen, but it's also good to give them data that they can look at and study. Like I've downloaded the data and I'm studying the data here and presenting it here on this video for you folks. If you take a look here, the walleye there, this is more the fish citation sizes, size chart, trophy fish size chart. A walleye, in order to get a citation for the walleye, it's got to be 5 pounds or 25 inches long. And you can see all the others there for yellow perch and so forth. Let me go on over to the next one. Here's the state of Virginia citation records, the start of them. And you can see that the first 4 entries there are not 5 pounds. And the thing says the citation size is 5 pounds or 25 inches. So those fish were actually over 25 inches. So that's why they're certified as citation. And then you see some there that starts at 5 pounds. You see one there at 5 pounds that's only 24 inches long. So sometimes these fish are, it really doesn't necessarily only depend on the length. It depends on the time of the year that you catch them and the food supply. You might catch one that's really chunky during the spawn that's loaded down with eggs. And that adds to the weight. As a matter of fact, a lot of the citations, especially the bass and some of the others, I'm sure the catfish also, the records are caught during the spawning season when the females are loaded down with eggs, and that can add up to a pound or a couple of pounds of weight to the fish. So that's something you need to think about also. If you catch a male, you might catch a male that's been guarding eggs and has been guarding eggs for a month, month and a half on the nest. Like a catfish, you may catch one that's really long, but really don't have a lot of weight on him because he's lost a lot of weight due to the fact that he's not eating and has been guarding those eggs. Male catfish will not eat while they're guarding the nest. So let me go on over here to the next view graph, and this tells you here a little bit about walleye. And if you notice there, if you read that, it says it's also called the pike perch. A walleye is not a pike. A lot of people call a walleye a pike because a walleye has teeth like a pike and a muskie. But a walleye is actually a perch, and their perch are prized eating fish. So walleye are really prized for their table fare. They're really very tasty fish. Going over here at the next one, this is the world record walleye. And this was 25 pounds. And if you take a look there, it was caught in 1960. So a lot of the world records are quite old. And a lot of the fish biologists and a lot of the various states and so forth, fish biologists and some of the people that work there, they don't necessarily trust these old records because of were the scales certified and where they possibly faked a little bit the records. But based on my data, it looks like that you can probably test, you can probably believe a lot of these old records. Of course, now some of them may be kind of hard to believe, and some of them may not be correct, but they're in the record books. So this is the reason why I'm saying you can believe a lot of these old records is because this is a 20-pound record walleye that was caught in the state of Washington. This is from In Fisherman. This was caught in 2014. So certainly I think there's some 22, 23, 24, and 25-pound walleye out there in the lakes and the rivers that that could be caught. The problem with these great big fish like this, whether it be a walleye or a pike or bass, is people are fishing with light tackle and they catch these big fish, these monsters, and they break off. So let me go ahead and go on down here. It's my last photograph in this video, or my last view graph. And this talks about the various fisheries here in Virginia. Now, if you take a look at the Stanton River there, you've got Smith Mountain Lake, Leesville Lake, and Lake Gadsden. That are all part of that Stanton River fishery. And those are the numbers. There are the number of fish that were caught in each one of the waters. Now, there's 185 caught in the Stanton River and Smith Mountain Lake, which is part of the Roanoke or Stanton River fishery. There's 50 caught, and then in Leesville Lake, which is also part of that Roanoke Stanton River fishery, was 30 citation fish. And Lake Gadsden, which is also part of that Roanoke Stanton River fishery, is 139. So a total for that fishery, the Stanton River fishery, is 404. If you take a look at New River there, New River and Crater Lake, and possibly some others, part of the New River fishery, the 338. Now the Holston River and the Holston Reservoir, total of 64 citation size fish. These are citation size walleye that were caught. Now, let me run back over here to one of these other view graphs here, and I want to talk about the where those big ones were caught. Big walleye caught in the state of Virginia. If you take a look there, most of those big walleye were caught in the New River fishery. As a matter of fact, almost every one of them. Because Crater Lake is part of the New River fishery. So the big walleye are in New River fishery. All those other waters are producing much smaller walleye. You don't have any big ones like you do in New River. New River has some deep holes, and New River's a big river. So that may be that may be the reason why New River produces such an abundance of the bigger walleye. Of course, now it's also possible that these other rivers, the walleye were not stocked in those rivers until after sometime later than they were stocked in New River. I'm not really sure about that. But anyway, that tells you where the walleye are. And by the way, looking at all the data, most of these walleye appear to be caught during the spring, during the spawn or pre-spawn or post-spawn, especially in the rivers. So that's the video. Thanks a lot. You folks have a nice day. And if you like the video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would appreciate it. Thanks.